You feel it, don't you? That quiet sting when a woman you want drifts into another man's orbit as if pulled by some invisible gravity you can't name. And the question hits you harder than you admit. Why him and not me? Here is the truth no one has ever said to your face. A woman's decision to connect quickly with a man, emotionally, romantically, or even physically, is not random, reckless, or shallow. It is a rapid psychological assessment built from millions of years of instinct layered under the life experiences she rarely admits publicly. Women don't make these snap decisions because they are careless. They make them because, deep down, they are wired to detect something you were never taught to cultivate. A woman decides almost instantly whether a man is safe, grounded, and emotionally self-led. Not perfect, not flashy, not loud, but centered. When she senses it, it disarms her. It lowers the defenses she normally keeps raised. It creates a feeling of familiarity with someone she technically doesn't know at all. That feeling is not magic. It is psychology. The recognition of a man whose presence feels like a place rather than a performance. Most men approach women from a position of need, needing approval, needing validation, needing to be chosen. Women feel that energy immediately. It tightens their chest. It triggers caution. It makes connection feel risky. But some men operate from a different internal posture, one shaped not by desperation, but by direction. Women respond to that instantly, not because of looks, not because of money, because of the emotional temperature he carries within himself. A woman will quickly open up to the man who moves with quiet certainty, the man who doesn't audition for her attention, the man who doesn't measure his worth by her reaction. She gravitates toward the man who treats his life like something he chooses, not something he's waiting for others to approve. This is the man who triggers her intuitive green light. She doesn't need weeks to feel it. Sometimes she doesn't need hours. But here is the part most men never realize. What she responds to is not dominance, arrogance, or bravado. It is congruence. When who you are on the outside finally matches who you are on the inside. When your tone, your posture, your intention, and your boundaries align without wobbling. Women trust that alignment. They relax into it. They lean toward it without realizing why. And if you've watched women open up instantly to other men while keeping you at arm's length, it isn't because you lack value. It's because no one ever taught you the kind of presence women instinctively recognize. Presence is not a performance. Presence is truth without tension. You need to understand something that most men never learn because no one explains it in a way that actually makes sense. When a woman chooses to connect deeply with a man quickly, it is not the act itself that matters. It is the psychology behind the decision. It is the internal shift she feels when a man bypasses her usual defenses without forcing, persuading, or performing. A woman's boundaries do not disappear when she meets a certain man. They recalibrate. They adjust based on how her nervous system interprets his presence. Safety is the first filter, not weakness, not insecurity. Safety. The kind of safety created by a man who does not rush, does not chase approval, and does not carry unstable emotional energy. Most men think women are responding to physical attraction alone, but physical attraction is only the surface. What actually drives a woman to trust a man quickly is her subconscious reading of his internal stability. She is not looking for a man who controls the room. She is looking for a man who can control himself. She notices the micro behaviors, the way he takes a breath instead of reacting impulsively, the steadiness in his eyes when he listens rather than waiting for his turn to speak, the grounded tone of voice that doesn't rise or shake just because she's beautiful. These signals tell her something essential. This man is not governed by external chaos. Men who trigger this response don't posture. They don't try to win her over. They don't flood the moment with nervous energy. They allow silence to exist without scrambling to fill it. They communicate in a calm, concise way that makes her feel understood instead of evaluated. And because this is so rare, she feels an immediate shift, like she can exhale. That exhale is what leads to faster connection. It is not impulsivity, it is relief. But there is a deeper layer most men never consider. Women can sense when a man's intentions are aligned with his behavior. If he speaks with respect but carries resentment underneath, she feels it. If he acts confident but his shoulders reveal tension, she notices. If he compliments her but the energy behind it feels like a negotiation for approval, she withdraws. Women respond instantly to authenticity because it's one of the few things that cannot be faked. And the men who create fast, meaningful connection are the men whose internal world matches their external demeanor. You must also understand that a woman's quick connection to certain men is not a rejection of your worth. It is a reflection of her internal emotional calibration in that moment. Sometimes a man aligns with her sense of timing, her emotional readiness, and the psychological cues she associates with trust and comfort. Sometimes he represents a version of masculine presence she has quietly craved. There is a truth most men never confront because it forces them to look inward, not outward. A woman's rapid connection with a man is not about superiority or inferiority. It is about psychological contrast. Some men carry an energy that awakens a woman's instinctive response, while others unconsciously trigger her caution. And here is the part most men overlook. Women are constantly reading a man's emotional patterns long before he speaks. They may not articulate it, but they register it. Your tone, your micro delays, the slight hesitation before you answer, the defensiveness behind a joke, the hunger behind a compliment. These details are signals. Signals that determine whether she feels drawn toward you or guarded around you. When a woman connects fast with a man, it is often because he carries a form of emotional independence she has rarely encountered. Emotional independence is not coldness, it is not distance, it is not indifference. It is the ability to be fully present without needing her presence to stabilize him. That is the kind of man who doesn't lose himself when he speaks to a woman he is drawn to. He doesn't shift his identity to match hers. He doesn't build his confidence from how she reacts. And because he isn't seeking emotional rescue, she feels emotionally free around him. Independence creates attraction because it creates balance. Women instinctively step back from men who attach instantly, not because they are cruel, because they feel responsible for the emotional fallout that may follow. A man who attaches too quickly often ends up projecting needs she never agreed to carry. That pressure is heavy. It removes the sense of choice that women need in order to feel desire. But the man who moves at his own pace, who is warm but not demanding, who is open but not urgent, he becomes the exception. He becomes the relief from emotional obligation. That relief makes connection feel natural, not risky. But there is another layer most men overlook. Women respond instantly to men who signal internal direction. You can see it in his posture, the way he navigates the world, the decisiveness in his choices. Direction is a psychological anchor. It tells her this man is not searching for the next thing to cling to. A woman will connect quickly with a man who knows what he wants, not because he forces it, but because he embodies it. He speaks clearly. He acts consistently. He holds boundaries without aggression. When a woman senses direction, she senses safety. And when she senses safety, she lets the gate down faster than she expected. Here's the truth you were never taught. Attraction is not built in the moments you chase. It is built in the moments you stand still with clarity. Women move toward that clarity because it feels rare. It feels intentional. It feels like a man who is rooted, not drifting. There is a psychological mechanism inside women that most men never recognize, yet it determines everything about why she feels an immediate pull towards some men and an emotional shutdown around others. It's called emotional attunement, the ability to sense not what a man is saying, but what he is broadcasting beneath the surface. This is why a woman can meet a man, talk to him for 3 minutes, and feel either a subtle tightening in her chest or a surprising sense of ease she didn't expect. Attunement is her radar, and most men don't realize they are revealing everything she needs to know, long before they think they've made an impression. A woman becomes instantly open around a man who demonstrates emotional clarity. Emotional clarity isn't about explaining feelings or being sensitive in the way pop culture describes. It's the ability to understand your own internal state without spilling it onto her. A man who carries unresolved frustration, loneliness, or hidden insecurity transmits that energy even when he smiles, even when he's polite, even when he tries to be charming. She doesn't need language to detect it. Her intuition does the work instantly. Men often underestimate how sensitive women are to emotional inconsistency. They don't analyze it, they feel it, and feeling is faster than thought. But when a man has clarity, when he knows what he feels, why he feels it, and doesn't need her to manage any of it, she senses stability. That stability is rare. It communicates that he is not seeking emotional escape through her. He is not looking for her to patch the holes in his life. He is not using charm to mask internal chaos. His presence is digestible. His energy is level. His intentions feel grounded. Women relax around that kind of man because his clarity removes the emotional guesswork that exhausts them. Women also open quickly to men who demonstrate healthy detachment, not distance, not coldness. Detachment means you can enjoy the moment fully without gripping it. It's the difference between appreciation and attachment. Most men tighten emotionally the moment they feel attraction. They lean in too far. They reveal need too quickly. They stop observing and start reaching. That reaching creates pressure. Pressure creates resistance. Resistance creates emotional walls. But a man with healthy detachment can experience attraction without losing self-composure. He doesn't treat her interest as a prize. He doesn't treat her attention as oxygen. He treats the connection as a natural expression of mutual alignment, not a lifeline. That mindset is what makes him stand out instantly. It's what makes her feel comfortable taking emotional steps she would never take with a man who shows urgency. There is one more truth. Women connect quickly with men whose boundaries are calm and consistent, not aggressive, not defensive, calm. Boundaries signal self-respect without hostility. And when a woman sees a man uphold his own standards without apology, she feels safe exploring her own vulnerability in his presence. There is a layer of female psychology that most men never access because they spend their lives trying to impress women instead of understanding them. Women do not open quickly because of surface-level attraction. They open because a man triggers a specific internal reaction, emotional resonance. Emotional resonance happens when a man's presence aligns with the emotional frequency she trusts. This is not about being perfect or smooth. It is about being real in a world full of performance. A woman becomes instantly receptive around a man whose emotional rhythm is steady. Not predictable in a boring way, but predictable in a trustworthy way. His reactions don't spike. His energy doesn't jump from one extreme to another. His attention doesn't flicker between insecurity and bravado. He has an internal consistency that makes her feel like she knows who she's standing in front of within moments. That sense of familiarity is powerful. It bypasses the slow, cautious process she uses with most men because it signals that this man is not hiding a chaotic emotional landscape behind charm or confidence. Women are extremely sensitive to emotional dissonance, the disconnect between what a man shows and what he feels. Dissonance makes her guard rise instantly. If his smile is polite but his energy feels anxious, she withdraws. If his words are confident but his posture is stiff, she senses fear. If he compliments her but the compliment feels like a request for validation, she disconnects. But resonance is the opposite. When his outward behavior aligns with his internal state, she feels harmony. That harmony is what makes her relax quicker than she expects. Another factor that creates fast connection is emotional leadership. Emotional leadership does not mean control. It means you have the ability to regulate your own emotional experience in real time. A man who can stay calm under pressure, steady under attraction, and thoughtful under uncertainty sends a powerful signal. He can hold space for himself. That makes a woman feel like he can hold space for a connection without collapsing into need or confusion. Women open faster to men who demonstrate emotional leadership because it shows maturity without demanding anything from them. There is also the factor of embodied confidence. Embodied confidence is different from external confidence. External confidence can be faked. Anyone can dress well, tell a smooth story, or speak loudly. Embodied confidence is quieter. It shows up in the way a man stands, the ease in his movements, the relaxed cadence of his voice, the absence of tension in his jaw, shoulders, or gestures. These physical cues tell her that he is comfortable in his own skin. Comfort is contagious. A woman feels more at ease with a man who is at ease with himself. It invites her into the moment rather than pushing her into self-protection. And finally, women open quickly to men who listen with intention. Not passive listening, not listening to respond, listening to understand. When a man pays attention without trying to manipulate the moment or impress her, She feels seen instead of evaluated. Being seen is what creates instant connection. There is a deeper truth that most men never uncover because they are too focused on surface outcomes instead of the psychological mechanics beneath them. A woman's decision to connect quickly with a man is often rooted in a phenomenon called emotional permission. Emotional permission happens when a man's presence gives her internal system the signal that it is safe to express the softer parts of herself: curiosity, openness, warmth, without fear of being judged, pressured, or misunderstood. Most men try to force connection by performing confidence. But the men who create instant connection don't force anything. They create the conditions where a woman feels she can reveal more of herself without consequence. A woman opens quickly around a man who feels emotionally predictable because predictability reduces mental load. When a man is inconsistent, warm one moment and needy the next, confident one moment and insecure the next, she has to stay alert. That alertness kills connection. But when she feels like she knows the emotional tone he carries regardless of the moment, it frees her to relax. Relaxation is the doorway to fast bonding. Not excitement, not desire, relaxation. When she feels emotionally safe enough to exhale, she naturally becomes more receptive. Another factor is emotional pacing. Men who create fast connection match her emotional pace rather than overpowering it. They don't rush intimacy. They don't push for closeness. They don't try to escalate faster than the natural rhythm of the moment. They allow the interaction to breathe. That breathing room tells her that she is not being cornered into a dynamic she didn't choose. Women connect rapidly to men who give her agency. Agency creates attraction because it turns connection into a choice rather than an obligation. When a man respects emotional pacing, he signals maturity, and maturity accelerates trust. Women also open quickly to men who show depth without heaviness. Depth means you understand your experiences, your past, your desires, and your direction. Heaviness means you unload those experiences onto her, hoping she will help you carry them. Women are drawn to depth because it shows self-awareness. They pull away from heaviness because it feels like emotional labor. The man who shares insight instead of emotional mess, reflection instead of wounds, clarity instead of confusion, he becomes memorable within minutes. She feels drawn to the groundedness he carries, not the intensity he projects. There is also the phenomenon of non-reactive masculinity. This is not indifference. It is the ability to stay steady in your internal world, even when her beauty, her presence, or her energy triggers nervousness. Most men react. They shift tone. They try harder. They lose their centeredness. But the man who remains grounded despite attraction signals a powerful message. He is not overwhelmed by her. That steadiness makes her feel like she can be herself without destabilizing him. Women open quickly to men who can withstand the emotional gravity of the moment without collapsing into insecurity. And finally, women respond rapidly to men whose intentions feel clean. Clean intentions are free from hidden agendas, performative charm, or transactional undertones. They come from a place of genuine presence rather than expectation. When a woman senses that a man's intention is simply to connect, not to prove something, not to take something, not to repair something, she moves toward him with surprising speed. There is one final truth that pulls everything together, and if you understand this, you will stop seeing women's quick connection with certain men as a mystery and start seeing it as a mirror. A woman opens instantly to a man whose presence reflects the version of herself she feels safe becoming. Most men think attraction is about being chosen. They never realize it is just as much about the emotional environment they create. A woman steps toward the man who awakens her softness without threatening her boundaries, her curiosity without overwhelming her mind, her desire without destabilizing her heart. This is why some men create connection in minutes, while others try for months with no progress. He becomes the emotional doorway she didn't know she was waiting for. A woman connects quickly with a man who carries emotional spaciousness. Emotional spaciousness means she can exist fully, her thoughts, her humor, her vulnerability, without feeling like she is taking something from him or giving something he didn't ask for. When a man doesn't cling, doesn't rush, doesn't tighten around the moment, she feels free inside the interaction. Freedom is what accelerates intimacy. When she senses no pressure, she feels like she has room to step forward. When she feels room, she becomes more spontaneous, more expressive, more connected. Most men suffocate the moment without realizing it. The rare man expands it. Women also open fast to men who embody emotional neutrality. Neutrality is not cold. Neutrality is the refusal to take things personally. When a man doesn't crumble over a pause in conversation, doesn't panic when she looks away for a second, doesn't interpret her every expression as approval or rejection, she feels grounded in his presence. His neutrality says, "I am steady regardless of the moment." That steadiness gives her permission to bring her full self without fear of emotional consequences. It is shocking how rare this is for her. That rarity creates gravitational pull. Another factor is his relationship with uncertainty. The men who create instant connection are not threatened by the unknown. They don't demand guarantees. They don't need clarity before it exists. They don't try to control the trajectory of the interaction. Their calm acceptance of uncertainty makes her feel secure. It tells her he can handle reality without rewriting it to soothe himself. That emotional strength is irresistible because it feels dependable. Dependability accelerates trust. Women also connect faster with men who exhibit quiet self-respect. Not the loud, performative kind. The kind that shows up in subtle ways. The way he doesn't over-explain his choices. The way he honors his time. The way he holds his standards without turning them into ultimatums. The way he expresses interest without sacrificing dignity. Quiet self-respect is magnetic because it signals that his value is not on the table for negotiation. It is intrinsic. That is the type of man she instinctively leans toward. And finally, women open quickly when a man's presence makes them feel more like themselves, not less. When she leaves the interaction feeling clearer, lighter, more aligned, more grounded, that is the man she remembers. That is the man she trusts. That is the man she allows into emotional spaces others never reach. Men chase being impressive. The men who create instant connection make her feel human. Now answer this in the comments. When women interact with you, do they walk away feeling heavier or lighter? And what does that reflect about your presence? And like, subscribe, and share this with a man who needs this understanding.